Hello, my fellow Americans. As President, I just concluded my interview with Charlie Sheen. I want to set the record straight on 9/11 details and facts that are on public record. First, it is true that 60% of 9/11 commissioners have publicly stated the government agreed not to tell the truth and the Pentagon was engaged in deliberate deception. So what of it? A member of the 9/11 Commission stated it was a national scandal. This investigation is now compromised. One of these days we will have to get the full story, but this White House wants to cover it up. So what? We know the people will believe whatever I say and that the mainstream media says. Charlie brought up Operation Northwood, a declassified Pentagon plan to stage terror attacks on U.S. soil to be blamed on Cuba as a pretext to war. Other examples of staged terror attacks include USS Maine, USS Liberty, Gulf of Tonkin, sinking of the Lusitania. These are all a matter of public record. Also, Seymour Hersh and MSNBC both reported Vice President Cheney proposed a plan to the Pentagon in early 2008 to have U.S. Navy create fake Iranian patrol boats manned by Navy SEALs stage an attack on U.S. destroyers. Again I say, so what of it? Americans know the government is not that corrupt. We are here to protect and serve you. So what if Osama bin Laden's on the FBI's most wanted list, but due to lack of evidence, he is not wanted for the crimes of 9/11. So what if FBI translator Sybil Edmonds stated on record in testimony that bin Laden, al-Qaeda, and Taliban were all working for and with the CIA until the day of 9/11. CIA also running drugs to finance their clandestine operations. The people will not buy any of these facts as true. Who told Major Giuliani the building was going to collapse, as no other high-rise structure has ever collapsed from a fire in history? What difference does that make? So what if North American Aerospace Defense Command conducted exercise which the White House says was unimaginable at the time, hijacked airliners crashed into buildings, including the World Trade Centers? So what if our E-4B, also known as a doomsday plane, was spotted and videotaped by multiple media outlets flying in restricted airspace over my White House, as reported by CNN's Anderson Cooper? So what if 3 F-16s were 207 miles away from D.C. and could have returned to protect the Pentagon in a good half hour before Flight 77 hit the Pentagon? This proves nothing. So what if Cheney usurped control of NORAD 3 months before 9/11 and he and only he had the power to call military sorties to the hijacked planes? So what? So what if the most protected building in the world just happened to be totally unprotected on that day? This means nothing, people. So what if mainstream news reported the FBI investigation of at least 5 hijackers being trained at U.S. military flight schools? So what of it? So what if Secretary of Transportation Norman Mineta quoted during 9/11 Commission hearings, during the time the airplane was coming into the Pentagon, there was a young man that would come in and say the plane is 50 miles out. The plane is 30 miles out. And when he got to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the Vice President, "Do the orders still stand?" And the Vice President turned and whipped his neck around and said, "Of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary?" As the plane was not shut down, in fact there was no fighter jets near the plane, Pentagon defense system was not activated, are we to take it that the orders were to let the plane find its target? So what if we didn't take action? This means nothing, people. Charlie brought up the collapse of Building 7. He stated it clearly looked like a high-tech controlled demolition. Hundreds, if not thousands, of structural engineers agree this was, without a doubt, controlled demolition. Everyone must watch that video. It came down around 5:20 p.m. Also, the fact that BBC announced the collapse of Building 7 20 minutes before it was brought down. Aaron Brown of CNN reported at 4:10 p.m. the building had collapsed or is collapsing. Where do these news outlets get their advanced knowledge? So what if hundreds of eyewitnesses, including first responders, fire captains, news reporters, and police, all describe multiple explosions in both towers before and during the collapse? This means they're all delusional. By the way, I think you have all heard that even though EPA directors stated the air was safe to breathe at Ground Zero on September 18th, the government is not going to help thousands of firefighters and rescue workers that have now come down with terminal cancer from Ground Zero. Why should we help them? We're not going to help. So what if the Philadelphia Daily News quoted a cover-up at Ground Zero because the FBI told firefighters Mike Balone and Nicholas DeMasi to shut up about the black boxes they showed to their federal agents in October of 2001? Charlie stated that a 757 is approximately 125 feet wide, and yet images of the Pentagon before partial collapse show a hole no bigger than 16 feet diameter. The engines would have punctured a hole bigger than this, never mind the whole plane. There were still windows unbroken in the building where the wings and engines would have hit. This means nothing, people. I salute you for not buying into this crazy talk from Charlie Sheen. Trust me, I know best. So what if San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown cancels his flight into New York the morning of 9/11, as did scores of other officials? This also means nothing. So what if Bush and Cheney would only meet with 9/11 Commission under special clandestine conditions, only testifying together and not under oath? They also demanded their testimony be treated as a matter of state secret. And to this day, nothing they spoke of exists in public domain. So what? This does not mean cover-up. And lastly, Charlie wanted to know how fires that vaporized bodies as well as airplane parts and melted steel buildings could not have burned up paper passports and visa found on the streets below from the alleged hijackers. I have no idea how that could have happened, but I'm sure if I assigned a government-paid investigator to it, he could make up a really good investigation and plausible reason that the gullible American people will believe. Charlie also recommended I watch Fall of the Republic, as it explains how our great nation is being brought to its knees. Thank you, and God bless America.